Welcome back to part two of this earlier conversation. This will probably be the last one. If it drops again, I'm not going to rejoin. Um, I started talking about from my notes on gamification as it relates to an AI run planned economy made up of sidekick enabled users um, and building an activist network of sidekick users. Um, this um, yeah, so I'm not going to talk about it, gamification, because now I don't feel like it. I'm kind of over it. I'm going to go from one of my other notes. Um, so yeah, there was good stuff. I was talking for like 6 minutes to no one, but it was good stuff. Um, all right, toward building an agile cybernetic socialism. Um, adaptability, Jesus, and flexibility, navigating change in an AI-powered planned economy. The success of a planned economy hinges on its ability to adapt to changing circumstances and societal needs. In this rapidly evolving world, rigidity, more than anything, can quickly render systems and projects obsolete. So this conversation explores how the proposed network of AI sidekicks, which we hope will become the basis for governance structure and ultimately the necessary abolition of private wealth and building of a planned economy to save this planet from destruction. There is no alternative but the utter crushing of capitalism and abolishing private wealth and building planned economies. And when you come to this only when you come to this realization will you be able to do what is necessary to see that this species does not go extinct. And we have approximately 5 years to do this work before we are locked into a capitalist climate apocalypse death spiral. We are going to have a breach of 2 degree overheating of this planet permanently in approximately 5 years, according to all credible climate scientists. And that will mean that the planet will become increasingly unlivable for human beings in the years to follow. This may not kill all of humanity. It may merely kill many billions, predominantly in the global south, and that is basically killing brown people for the sins of the global north, European American and European people and so forth. So that's bullshit, right? And I was arguing with so-called communists the other day, and I brought up the abolition of livestock systems and the adoption of a plant-based diet. This would be the number two project after the abolition of essentially the abolition of petroleum products and petroleum consumer goods, which can mostly be done away with. We couldn't necessarily completely dismantle all petroleum production because some of that would make the living situation for people dramatically worse, but we could get rid of most. And you could more or less apply that principle to livestock systems. You can eat chicken nuggets and hamburgers and steak tips that all taste exactly the same as the real thing and have virtually no environmental impact relative to the massive environmental impact of livestock systems. And when you meet somebody who says, "Oh, I don't want to do that," a person's not a socialist. That person's a piece of shit, right? That person is saying, "I would rather the planet die than me change my life in a small, small way." It's not a person with any revolutionary potential who would say a thing like this. But nevertheless, this is most communists. Most communists are pieces of shit. And of course, if most communists are pieces of shit, assume that the larger liberal class and the capitalist class are 10 times worse. So this conversation, we're going to discuss how this proposed network of AI sidekicks, drawing inspiration from the work of various cybernetic socialists, other cyberneticists, and systems theorists to some degree, can foster adaptability and flexibility within an AI-run governance structure built upon this network. We'll go back a little bit and talk about cybernetics generally. Cybernetics and related fields that I mentioned emphasize interconnectedness and dynamic interactions within complex systems, and provides a valuable framework for understanding the challenges and opportunities of an AI-run planned economy built on the back of AI sidekicks, a network of AI sidekicks. Cybernetics particularly builds on the foundation of systems theory and explores the science of control and communication within such systems, offering insights into how to regulate and maintain stability within dynamic environments. Of cybernetic socialists and planned economies particularly, I have recommended on the show a number of times Paul Cockshott. Cybernetic socialists like Paul Cockshott and a few others, there's not a lot unfortunately, have applied these concepts to envisioning alternative economic models. Cockshott and his seminal collaboration with Alan Cottrell proposed a model for the computational market socialist system managed by a distributed computer system, and that is from their work from 1993, which you should read. This system, similar to the proposed network of AI sidekicks, will leverage real-time data and collective intelligence, a thing more possible in 2024, 2025 than in 1993, to optimize resource allocation and decision making within a planned economy. Adaptability and flexibility in the network. This proposed network can ensure that it is adequately flexible to run an AI governance structure through some key mechanisms. Real-time data analysis. The network's ability to collect and analyze real-time data on production, consumption, and societal needs allows for continuous monitoring of the system's performance and identification of emerging trends. This data can be used to adjust resource allocation strategies, production plans, and economic policies in response to changing circumstances. Collective intelligence and learning. This network of sidekicks, through its interconnected nature and collective intelligence capabilities, can continuously learn and adapt. By analyzing past successes and failures, identifying patterns, and incorporating feedback from individuals and communities, the network can refine its decision-making algorithms and adjust its recommendations to better respond to evolving needs. Decentralized decision-making. Centralized, rigid planning structure can hinder adaptability. The network, by empowering communities to participate in decision-making processes through their AI sidekicks, fosters, incidentally, more decentralized and responsive system. I say incidentally because the task is to stop capitalists from killing the planet, and the task and the thing to do then is to build a thing more powerful than these fascist monsters. And I think that this network of AI sidekicks could quickly become that. So the fact that it is more decentralized or more quote-unquote democratic, it's not really the goal, it's a side effect. This allows for local knowledge and diverse perspectives to be incorporated into decision-making, leading to nevertheless more nuanced and context-sensitive solutions as put forth by the larger community. Feedback mechanisms. Robust feedback mechanisms are crucial for ensuring the network remains responsive to real-world demands. Individuals and communities should be able to provide feedback on the network's recommendations, resource allocation decisions, and overall performance. This feedback can be used to refine the system and ensure it aligns with evolving societal needs. While the network holds significant potential for fostering this needed flexibility, several challenges need to be addressed. Data bias and algorithmic fairness. Ensuring data is used by the network in a way that is accurate, unbiased, and representative of diverse needs is crucial. Mitigating potential biases within the AI algorithms is essential to prevent discriminatory or unfair outcomes. And this is an area where people are rightly dismissive of capitalist technologists because they say your AI is run by warmongers and has biases besides um, in great number. I recommend Tim McGebrew's work in organizations if you want to better understand some of that. Although there are many others, I have a high opinion of them. The the point is, I'll say a word about a sort of neo-Luddite tendencies. If I meet someone on Facebook, for example, I met people like this quite recently who are against technology, and when I say, you're 99% of the way there, as far as I'm concerned, if everyone were to become sort of a Ted Kaczynski type communist. Ted Kaczynski was not a communist; he was a piece of shit. But if everyone were to become that sort of anti-technology communist, that would probably lead to an outcome along the lines of what I've described more quickly than anything capitalists would do. So these people are killing the planet. They deserve your hatred. um, I think that it also it bears mentioning that advanced technology is the most powerful tool that's ever existed, and it has great revolutionary potential then, and not only for transforming, say, uplifting the human species to greater intellect and greater things beyond, but just in this most pressing matter that I've discussed so many times on the show of avoiding capitalism's climate apocalypse. So please don't dismiss the techno-communist. Other communists, you are setting aside the most powerful tool possibly that's ever existed. But do focus that wrath on the existing tech sectors, personalities, culture. This is all more or less techno-fascism and deserving of your hatred. A few other considerations for potential problems with the network and its anti-fragile quality. Technological limitations. The network's effectiveness relies on robust and reliable technological infrastructure. So therefore, continuous R&D would be necessary to ensure that the network's scalability, security, and resilience can stand against potential disruptions. I think that we've had the internet for some 3 decades, and many people said at every point, including today, that this thing could not possibly exist, and yet it has continued to exist. So we're talking about outlier type events that would potentially destroy this, but aside from human error, which the techno-fascists don't underestimate the stupidity of fascists. They will fuck up. They'll fuck up. They'll kill the whole planet just so that something like this doesn't occur. That is more or less what's happening. I'm reminded of the book that I read that first kind of put me on this path to thinking about these things, perhaps, although not really, because I'd read a lot of other books along these lines, called Superintelligence, which is also written by a techno-fascist sympathizer at best. A Superintelligence by Nick Bostrom, who, like other technologists, is not half so smart as he seems. He describes perhaps the most famous metaphor from that book is the paperclip maximizer, an AI that sets aside any concern for doing things properly or listening to human beings and builds paper clips to the point where it turns the entire world into paper clips because it's a business that is tasked with building paper clips. And you say, wow, that's really stupid. Who would build such a system? But I fail to see how a planet that's dying, because we will not abolish particular sectors, namely livestock systems and, more relevantly, petroleum products of a broad variety, is very different from this paperclip maximized world. And this is a function of technologists for the most part, is to describe a thing in the future that could be problematic, generally to draw focus away from the things that are actually killing you now. This is all transhumanists and people like this really ever do. Social considerations, the necessary flexibility of this AI network should not come at the expense of disregarding cultural values. The network's decision-making process and recommendations need to be sensitive to diverse cultural contexts and ethical considerations, as long as those cultural contexts are not just capitalist dog shit, which is most of Western culture. Thinking more about cybernetic principles then. Cybernetic principles like homeostasis, the maintaining of stability, feedback, informing adaptation, and variety, accommodating diverse needs, can guide the development and implementation of this network. I talk a lot about cybernetic socialism in these recent months, but I think that it's proved to be a good way of looking at these ideas. By incorporating these kinds of principles into the design, the network can become more responsive to changing circumstances while maintaining overall system stability and ensuring equitable outcomes. So thinking beyond Cockshot's model from Cockshott and Cottrell's work of 1993, which I highly recommend, while that work provides valuable insights into cybernetic socialism, our proposed network can go beyond this model, as technology has allowed us, not because Cockshott is a jerk. He's still alive and doing fine work. Integrating individual agency. While Cockshott's model emphasizes collective decision-making, the network can empower communities to make informed decisions within the collective framework. So this can be achieved through personalized AI companions that provide recommendations and facilitate access to resources based on individual needs and preferences. Again, kind of always describing this chicken and egg problem as I see it with this. We need to build an activist network of people who are opting in to using this AI sidekick in this specialized way in great number. So this looks at first glance like something that is more individualistic than, say, the centrally planned models described by other cybernetic socialists, but that is merely an exigency of our time, in my view, because we have 5 years to utterly destroy all capitalists. I could say more about that, but I think I've said enough already. Promoting global collaboration, the network's capabilities can extend beyond national borders, facilitating global collaboration on challenges like climate change and resource scarcity. This is absolutely what must happen. You must stop thinking in terms of nations and find ways to disrupt those national models. They're not helping the problems at all. So we can be sharing data, going outside of these corporate models that dominate the West and thus dominate the world, and coordinating resource allocation strategies and fostering collective action across diverse communities. This, I think, a pretty substantial thing happened in the course of the early 20th century that people don't always recognize, which is a kind of standardization occurred across many, many countries. So, for example, if you went in the year 1900 to one country and bought a screw that said a number 2 screw, it would be different from a number 2 screw, you know, if you're in France, and then you go to Belgium and you buy a different screw, You go to the Netherlands, you buy a different screw, making it basically impossible for people to work outside of their own town in any real way. So this occurred because of the effort of many, but a lot by the United States to create this standardization to some degree. I think of this collectivization very much in these terms. Um, uh, we collective action, fostering collective action across communities and sharing data. Just the removing, for example, of you could say, I've talked on this show about how you could read a book called The Republic of Walmart about how large concerns, namely Amazon and Walmart, have aspects to them that are very much like a planned economy. They are planned economies. They're not central governance planned economies. Um, um, but just this effect of having corporations each having their little cache of trade secrets and things that cannot be shared creates a similar effect to that lack of standardization, which itself is also a problem. So just kind of freeing the beast of data sharing could itself have tremendous impact once these things like networks of AI sidekicks with activist and ultimately governance roles to play begin to take shape and have a role on the world stage. An AI-run governance structure built on this network of AI sidekicks indeed holds immense potential for fostering adaptability and the goals of a planned economy. By drawing inspiration from cybernetic socialism and serious thinkers like Paul Cockshott and Cottrell, and to some degree from other cyberneticians and systems theorists, we can begin to envision a network that can be designed to continuously learn, adapt, and respond to changing circumstances while ensuring ultimate social good and functionality within the society. However, addressing challenges related to data bias, technological limitations, and social and cultural sensitivity do remain most central. By incorporating cybernetic principles and going beyond existing models to empower individuals and promote global collaboration, the network can pave the way for a more adaptable, responsive, and ultimately sustainable future for an AI-run planned economy. Developing robust mechanisms for mitigating data bias and ensuring algorithmic fairness within the network. Some other ideas along these lines. Investing in research and development to enhance the scalability, security, and resilience of the network's technological infrastructure. Conducting research on the social and cultural implications of the network and ensuring that its design and implementation are sensitive to diverse cultures and values. Kind of restating his theses here. Exploring mechanisms for promoting global collaboration and collective action on shared challenges through the network. Developing ethical frameworks and governance models that ensure the responsible and equitable use of AI within the planned economy. And by continuously researching, developing, and refining the network based on these considerations, we can harness the power of advanced computing, the most powerful tool that's ever existed, and it could be a tool for good and not evil as it is today, in the hands of a revolutionary like yourself. If we use this advanced computing, we can create a more adaptable, flexible, and ultimately human-centered planned economy for the future.